Hello, everyone. My name's Mariah. I go by Mama Mariah here on YouTube. I am a mother of four beautiful children, ages 8, 3, 2, and 6 months. And today I would like to share the story of how my youngest came into the world. And a big reason why I've decided to do so is because in most aspects of my life, I feel very average. I don't have a spectacular career. I don't have a wall full of academic accolades. I don't make a crazy high salary. Yeah, my physical appearance, I feel, is, for the most part average. I'm not unconfident with my looks, but I know that I don't know how to do the professional type makeup, and I'm far from a professional YouTuber, but I do feel as if I have a story to tell, and that although I find myself average in most areas of my life, I was still able to accomplish something far above average, and in my eyes just spectacular and amazing. And I feel that, especially for us mamas and us women out there, we need a little bit of a reminder that we are capable of far greater than average accomplishments in our lives. And so here begins my story. On the evening of June the 5th of 2021, I had decided that at 39 weeks pregnant, my baby girl was just going to decide to live in utero forever. My prior pregnancies had at the longest lasted 38 weeks, so at this point, I had thought that she was basically just going to make home in my uterus forever, or that I realistically would have at least another few days to a week until she decided to make her arrival. So that evening, I go to bed thinking that everything is just absolutely normal. I had bathed my other children and put them to bed, read them stories, walked the dog, everything that I would typically do on an average night. Then I go to bed, and around 3 o'clock in the morning on June the 6th, I wake up to a pretty strong contraction. And this is not something that I had not experienced before during this pregnancy. I had some prior false alarms at 37 and 38 and a half weeks. So I had assumed that this was another one of those instances, that it was just going to be a contraction or two, false alarm, and that it would subside and I would be able to go back to bed. So I made my way to my bathroom and I began to run a warm tub, thinking that it would alleviate some of the cramping and contractions. And I had laid a towel on the floor, and during this pregnancy, for me, the most comfortable position was always being on all fours, as it would relieve a lot of the pressure from my spine and would allow the baby to just loosely hang and let gravity kind of take the pressure off of my body. And so I was doing that on my bathroom floor, waiting for the tub to fill. And as I stood up to turn the water off on my tub, as the tub water had ceased to flow, my waters started flowing and my water had broke. And at that point, then I began to panic, because with all of my previous pregnancies, once my water had broken, it was game on. My middle two pregnancies, my waters were actually broken in the hospital by my OB, and within 5 minutes each of those children were born. And with my oldest, it was less than an hour after my waters had broken that he had made his arrival. So I knew that she was going to be here sooner than I had thought the night before. So I had reached out to both of my parents. My mother was going to come and care for my children while I was at the hospital, and my father was going to be taking me to the hospital. My children's father was out of town at this point, and like I had said previously, I thought I still was going to have a little bit of time before giving birth. So at this point, I am waiting for my ride to the hospital, so I go and check on each of my children asleep in their beds, make sure that they're sound asleep, they're okay, kiss them all on their foreheads and say that I'll be back soon. I close their bedroom doors, I check on my dog and make sure that he's asleep in his bed, which is in my bedroom, and I close the door on my bedroom as well, because I have a very large dog and he gets very excited when my mother comes to visit, so I thought she would appreciate not being jumped on and slobbered all over at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I had closed him into the bedroom while he was asleep in his bed as well, and I make my way downstairs to my living room area to wait for my father to come take me to the hospital and my mother to come care for my other children. And when I reach the bottom of the steps, I experience the strongest contraction I think I have ever felt in any of my pregnancies. And I just thought to myself, oh no, please, not now. And then next thing I knew, less than a minute later, I was experiencing another contraction. And then I heard crying. I looked down and my little girl's head is expelled from my body and she's crying, and gravity did most of the other work to get her shoulders out. She did not have the cord wrapped around her neck, and she, like I said, had already been crying, so I wasn't worried about whether or not she was breathing. So at this point, I then waddle back to my couch because she was still attached to her umbilical cord, which was also still attached to me. And I sit on my sofa and I take a blanket and I wrap her in the blanket to keep her nice and warm. And then we began nursing. And as soon as she was latched for the very first time, I had seen headlights in front of my house, which were both of my parents arriving, and they come into my home and they see me on the couch holding a bundle of blankets, and I say, "Your grandchild's here." No one fainted, although I think my father was particularly close to doing so. And he went outside and called the ambulance while my mother stayed inside with me. The ambulance arrived. They helped me deliver my placenta. They took a look at the baby. She got 10s on all of her, the APSCAR scores are, sorry if I mispronounced that, but the scoring that they do for the initial health of a baby when they're first born. And she got all 10s, which is perfect. I was doing fine. They took us to the hospital, and the hospital confirmed that both her and I were quite healthy and that, nothing went wrong with her birth. I did not tear at all, didn't require any stitches. And the paramedics were also pretty thrilled because this was the first time that any of them had experienced a birth, and also they had just come from a fatality. So in such a short period of time, they were able to see someone take their last breaths and then someone take their first. So I was ecstatic to be able to give them that type of experience, so that way they can remember the positive along with the hardships of the profession that they do, that is really so important to our society and our communities. And so, long story short, I gave birth to my own baby by myself in my living room. Pretty amazing, right? Someone who feels pretty average when they look in the mirror as they live their life, as we work in our office. Someone who just feels so average did something so amazing. And it reminds me that my children don't think that I'm average. My children don't think anything about me is average. And they know that the amount of love that I have for them is far above average. And I just want anyone who takes the time to watch this video to remember that even the most average of us out there can do amazing, spectacular things. And now I get to hold this memory for the rest of my life. And I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's taken the time to listen to this. And I hope to be able to post some more videos going forward about some other mama topics, other questions that anyone may have about motherhood, how to juggle 4 kids on a limited budget, meal planning, anything like that. I'm ready to talk about it. Also, I have something called Behçet's disease that's very similar to MS and lupus. And so I'm also here to talk about invisible illness and how we can handle all of that. So I welcome your questions, I welcome your comments, I welcome your suggestions for future conversations, and I hope that you can join me again sometime soon. Thank you.